Hey Cake Charms, and welcome back to another video. Now, as I'm sure you already know, on Tuesday next week it will be Shrove Tuesday, also known in the UK as Pancake Day. Now, I've never really understood why we have to wait for a specific day every year to be able to enjoy pancakes. If you like pancakes, just have a pancake. But I'm never one to miss out on a bandwagon, so I thought this week we would have a go at creating the eponymous, good word, eponymous pancake cake that I think pretty much everybody has had a go at by this point. I know that Yolanda at How to Cake It has done it, Cakes by Lynn's has done it, I'm pretty sure my buddy Ben the Baking has done it. Everybody's done it. But do you know who hasn't done it? This guy. So this week we are going to be making a stack of pancakes cake. Let's get to the video. Forgot to do my little head flick. Now, when it comes to deciding how to decorate one's stack of pancakes cake, it seems to be the popular thing is to use pats of butter and blueberries and some sort of kind of recreation of maple syrup. But these are all really American. In the UK, we don't eat our pancakes with maple syrup and butter. We eat our pancakes with, what do we eat our pancakes with? We eat our pancakes with sugar and lemon juice. Now, I'm prepared to add blueberries because lemon and blueberries are amazing together. But I feel like we need to give this stack of pancakes design a bit of a reimagining to reclaim it for Pancake Day. So I'm going to be doing mine with lemon and blueberry. With that in mind, the cake inside is going to be one of my absolute favourite recipes, and that's Jane Patisserie's, is it patisserie or patisserie? Jane? Patisserie or patisserie? Anyway, it's going to be Jane's lemon and blueberry cake, which I absolutely love making. If you haven't come across it before, I will put the link to the recipe in the description box down below. Seriously, make this cake. It is so, so nice. Now, I've already baked the cake and I've already filled it with lemon buttercream and blueberry jam, and it's currently chilling in the fridge, ready for a final coat of buttercream, which I will be doing in just a second, and then we will get to the decorating. I guess we better change our angles. So before the video started today, I have baked my cake, obviously, and then I have filled it with a combination of lemon buttercream and blueberry jam. Then I've given it a crumb coat of buttercream and then a final top coat of buttercream, which is now chilling in the fridge. But don't worry, I do have a playlist, the Cake Basics playlist, which I will link up in that corner there, which will take you through all the steps you need from baking your cake right through to torting, filling and crumb coating your cake. Now, when it comes to the actual decoration, we've got two choices. We can either cover the cake with a layer of sugar paste first and then start to build up the pancakes around it, or we can do it straight onto the buttercream. I'm leaning towards doing it straight onto the buttercream simply because where the weather is still quite cool, the buttercream should stay fairly crusted while we're working with it. If I was doing this cake in the summer, probably would cover it with sugar paste first, just to be on the safe side. But yeah, I think today we'll go straight onto the buttercream with the sugar paste. When it comes to the sugar paste, I'm going to be starting with plain white and then mixing a little bit of Rainbow Dust Pro Gel in cream, which I'm gonna do now. I have a bit of a bad habit when I'm colouring sugar paste of being a bit heavy-handed with the colour. So the best way I find to deal with that is to start by colouring just a small amount of the paste, and then if I do go too dark, I can mix it in with more of the white to lighten the colour. Of course, if I go too pale, I can always put a bit more of the colour in. And so once you've worked your Pro Gel into the paste, you should be left with this kind of creamy colour. So definitely not white, but also not working away to brown just yet. It's almost kind of like a yellowy, ivory-ish cream. In total, I'm working with about 1.5 kilos worth of sugar paste today. Hopefully I won't need this much, but I'm always of the opinion I'd rather have too much than not enough. I'm gonna pop these into some sandwich bags to keep them away from the air, and then we'll go and get the cake out of the fridge. So here is the cake as it is at the moment. I have baked 3 layers of lemon and blueberry cake. Those are filled with lemon buttercream and blueberry jam, and then I've crumb coated it and given it a top coat with that lemon buttercream. That's then been left to chill in the fridge for about 20 minutes, and I've currently got it sitting on one of my Cake Tools Direct plastic cake boards. Now you've got a few options when it comes to serving your pancake cake. You could of course prepare a cake board to look like a plate. You could just place it on a normal cake board, or you could put it directly onto a plate or cake stand. Personally, I'm going to be building my cake straight onto the cake stand today, which means that I need to lift this onto the stand itself. Now there's a few different ways you can do this. If you've built your cake on a cake card, which would be super helpful, then you should just be able to slide a palette knife underneath, lift it up slightly and pick it up with your fingers. Unfortunately, I'd run out of cake cards in the right size, so instead I had to build mine straight onto this workboard. But because the cake is nicely chilled, I should be able to slide a cake lifter underneath and hopefully lift it onto my cake stand with no problems. Like so. Now you should hopefully find that you're able to do that without kind of causing too much damage to the buttercream, but you can always run a warm edge scraper around the edge if you need to. Don't forget though that we are going to be covering this all up with our pancakes, so it doesn't matter too much if there's the odd little mark. And for once, I'm not going to be using a turntable simply because these two together, the cake would be up here somewhere. So I'm going to switch this for a bog standard Lazy Susan, which I picked up in IKEA, and I've just put a little bit of non-slip matting on the top so that I can move my cake around without any problems. Like so. And when it comes to creating the pancakes, it's actually super simple. You need to start by taking just a chunk of your coloured ivory sugar paste, and we are literally just going to roll it out into a big long sausage. Now normally when we're rolling things into sausages we want these to be really neat and even, but for a pancake we don't, because of course they don't bake nice and neat and even. So if you end up with kind of thinner bits and thicker bits, that really doesn't matter. Once you've got it to a thickness of somewhere in between 1 and 1.5 centimetres, you're then going to push it down just using the kind of the soft part of your palm to a thickness of around about 0.5 centimetre. Again, when you see these cakes made sometimes on the internet, they do tend to go a little bit thicker with these, but again, American pancakes are thicker than British pancakes. So I'm going for somewhere kind of between the two in the hope that we'll have at least a slight semblance of British pancake. Yeah, we're really not going to, are we? They're pretty much crepes and that would look ridiculous. But I'm going to go thinner anyway. Then I'm going to take a kitchen knife and I'm going to run that right down the centre of my flattened sausage. Again, it doesn't matter if it's not entirely even, and you'll see why in a moment. Once you've got it to this stage, it's time to brush a little water onto the cake. And that's going to help our sugar paste stick to this buttercream, which is already softening in the studio lights. And then I'm going to lift my sugar paste, place it against the cake and run it all the way around. When you get to the side where they overlap, take your kitchen knife and gently cut through both of them, removing the overlap and blending the two together. You can use a cake tool to help you if you want. And that is as simple as it is to apply the first layer. Now, before we go on to the next layer, which we can use the other half of the same sausage for, we're going to brush a little bit of colour onto the top of this sugar paste here, and that will give it the effect that it's been cooked in a frying pan or a skillet if you're American. To keep things nice and simple today, we're going to go back to that same ivory pro gel, and I'm just going to squeeze some into this convenient plastic lid. And then I'm going to mix that with some dipping solution, which you saw me using in last week's video to water down my airbrush colour. I'm going to just take a spare piece of paste and just brush that with the colour to check that I'm happy. When I am, it's as simple as taking some of that colour on my brush, and I'm just going to literally run it around the side of the cake. Again, don't panic if it's not entirely even, because it wouldn't be on real pancakes either. And then we're just going to take the next piece of sugar paste, put the flat edge towards the cake. Then once we've added that second layer, we're going to roll out another sausage and do exactly the same thing again.
Years later.
Okay, so a couple of takeaways so far. That takes forever, literally forever. I feel like I've been doing this since the dawn of time. Secondly, my buttercream has gone pretty soft because it has taken so long. So I think if I was to do this again, I probably would cover the cake with sugar paste first. But never mind, we are almost at the finish line. Hopefully this next one or the one after it should be the final strip. The other takeaway is it uses a lot of sugar paste or fondant. Of the 1.5 kilos that we started with, that's pretty much all I've got left, and I still have to cover the top. So yeah. So when you get to this stage, it's time to cover the top, and to do that we're going to make one actual whole pancake that we can just lay on the top to look like the top of this pile. Now I've probably got left between the two lumps here, maybe 500 grams at most. I'm hoping that's going to be enough to cover the top of my 8-inch cake, which I don't think I'd actually mentioned. And I'm going to roll this out in exactly the same way that I always do. So I'm going to start by dusting the worktop with my corn flour, and then just like always, it's about keeping that paste moving. Now we want to keep this fairly thick, but of course we also have to make sure it is big enough to cover the top of our cake. Don't be afraid to kind of manipulate it with your fingers if you need to, but remember to smooth out those finger marks before you put it on the cake. And then we can add that to the top of our pile, like so. And then using more of that very same mixture of cream pro gel and dipping solution, we are going to paint the top of the cake to look like the whole thing has been in the frying pan. And then last but not least, before we set that aside to dry, we can just go down and kind of add some marks and imperfections to the side, which will do two jobs. Number one, they'll kind of help blend in some of these seams and where we've got some cracks from the paste stretching, and also it will add the effect of like bubbles to where the batter has kind of expanded while the pancakes were cooking. guess I'm sitting now. This is a sitting thing. Now, when it comes to decorating my stack of pancakes, as I said earlier, there does seem to be a tendency to go with kind of pats of butter and maple syrup, but we don't really serve pancakes like that here in the UK. I did actually do an Instagram question earlier on, so let's see how that's gone. So Ellie says that she keeps it classic with lemon juice and a bit of sugar. Teresa, she's a bit extra. She likes strawberries, cream and chocolate sauce. Carrie Glitterdale alternates between sugar and lemon and ice cream and sauce. Oh, ice cream would look really cool. But no, and then Zoe of Zoe's Fancy Cakes has put lemon and sugar. So generally, that's it by the way, of all the people who follow me on Instagram. 5 people responded to my question, so thank you to those 5 people. But of those 5, 3 have gone classic with lemon juice and sugar, which is kind of what I would have on Pancake Day. That's like the Pancake Day staple, is it not? So I'm thinking that is what we need to put on our pancake here. Pancakes, cake. This is very complicated. To make my lemon wedge, all I have done is taken some white sugar paste and rolled it out to about half a centimetre thick, and then using a medium circle cutter, cut out a circle. You can then cut that in half and set those aside. In the meantime, I've also cut out a circle of yellow sugar paste, but this time using a smaller circle cutter. And this one I'm going to start using my modelling tool and just adding some texture radiating out from the centre. It doesn't need to be particularly neat, so don't worry too much about that. Very similar a technique to the one we used last week to create the wood effect cake board. So if you haven't checked that out, I'll put a link up in the corner. And then using a kitchen knife, I'm just going to cut that into 8 pieces. So I cut it in half, and cut it into quarters, and then cut those in half again to give you 8. Doesn't matter if they're not absolutely perfect. And then the next thing we're going to do is just gently round off those corners using our fingers, being careful not to damage the texture that we have just spent ages building up. You can always add some more in though, so it's not the end of the world if they get a bit squashed. Just want those corners nice and rounded off so they start to look a bit more like a cross section of lemon segments. These are very much obviously a cartoony take on a lemon. Okay, and then going back to our white, I'm going to just brush it with a little bit of water and then gently place those lemon segments on like so. Use your modelling tool to go in and just kind of move them around a little bit, make those spaces a bit more similar. And also, if you need to just add in a little bit more texture. Then I just took my modelling tool, pushed it slightly into the centre, and then with another long thin piece of the yellow, we're just going to wrap it around the edge to create the skin. And then if you want to, you can just take your modelling tool and just go in and add some texture to that skin as well. Now we've started simple with the lemons, so we're going to carry on simple with the blueberries as well. And so for them, I've just started with a little bit of white sugar paste, and I'm adding in some navy blue and some purple gel colour, both of which again are Rainbow Dust Pro Gels. You can see them on the wall behind me, you know what they are. And I'm just going to work that through the paste. Now I'll be honest with you, it's not often that I would colour something dark starting from white. I do prefer to use coloured paste where possible, but because we're literally just going to be rolling little balls, I figured I could probably cope. You can see already I've got quite a nice dark colour going on here, but it's not quite dark enough for my liking, so I'm going to add a little bit more of the navy and a little bit more of the purple. Let's add a tiny touch of black as well. Now you'll notice I have put my gloves back on. Top tip whenever you're colouring sugar paste, wear gloves. That colour will get absolutely everywhere otherwise. Okay, so we've kind of got to a colour that I'm happy with. I'm going to let that paste sit there for a minute or two, because when you work a lot of colour into a paste straight away, it can start to affect its consistency and make it really quite soft and difficult to work with. So while that's sitting there, I'm going to have a quick tidy up and then we'll carry on. Okay, so I'm going to take some of my purpley bluey paste and I'm just going to start rolling them into balls and then just squash them a little bit flat just before I put them into a sponge former to dry-ish. Mix up the sizes, do some bigger, some smaller, because of course blueberries don't have a uniform size. And if you find that the paste is still quite sticky, you can always just dust your hand with a little bit of corn flour. And when it comes to adding in the kind of the recognisable stem and the other side of the blueberry, to keep things really, really simple, I'm just going to take a piping tip, and I've got a whole selection that you could use, so just pick one that you like the effect it makes, and then I'm just going to pop it in, twist it backwards and forwards, and then take a ball tool in the centre to create that sort of effect. On the other side, I'm going to take this tool, which I don't know the proper name of it, sorry PME, and I'm just going to pop that in that side. And you'll see you've got one side, the other side. And I'm just going to do that on every single one. And then last but not least, it is time to put it all together. Now unfortunately guys, I do not have any piping gel, so I can't do kind of the effect of a bit of lemon juice squeezed over it. So I do apologise for that, but if you wanted to, all I would do is thin it down very slightly, perhaps with some more dipping solution, or perhaps just warm it up slightly, and then just allow a little puddle to form around where you're going to place the lemon. And then it's time to actually put our decorations on. So I'm going to start just with one of my lemon wedges facing away so that you can see the effect of the skin. So one lemon wedge, and then we'll go other lemon wedge. Now don't forget the lemon wedges are very much designed to be seen from one angle, so do look at the side you're going to show the cake from and make sure that you are happy with the placement of your lemon wedges. And then around those I'm just going to dot my blueberries in a very seemingly haphazard manner. Trying not to think too much about where you're putting them. Now just like having an odd number of blueberries, also do try and arrange them in small odd groups as well. So maybe do one group of 2, one group of 3, a few on their own that look like they've rolled away. Put some up on their side, leaning against another one. Some with the stem showing, some with the other bit showing. And you can also put some down on the very base as well, particularly if you have anything that you are trying to hide. And there you go, ladies and gents, there is my lemon and blueberry stack of pancakes cake, just in time for Pancake Day. Now, if you decide to have a go at one of these yourself, learn from my mistakes, you will need more sugar paste than you think. Make sure you've got piping gel in stock, and be aware it takes a while, so allow yourself plenty of time. Now I'm going to take a couple of beauty shots, and then I think we should have a slice of this cake. I mean, I've spent hours on this, I think I deserve a slice, and I'm sure you guys want to see what it looks like inside. So there you go, guys, that was me doing my first ever stack of pancakes cake just in time for Pancake Day. Now if you enjoyed this video and would like to see more videos of me having a go at various cake trends, then make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and of course subscribe to my channel. But before I let you go, I really ought to let you see inside this beautiful cake, because Jane's recipes are stunning and it lends itself perfectly to a cake like this. So if I cut down here and cut down here, that is a rather enormous slice of cake. Please don't think for a moment that I'm going to eat this whole slice of cake, but can you just look at that? So you've got blueberries actually in the cake itself, and then you've got blueberries in the blueberry jam filling. Absolutely delicious. So props to Jane for a fantastic recipe. Props to me for a reasonable first attempt at one of these cakes. But obviously the most important part is the eating. So thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next week.